Alright, so welcome back here, ladies and gentlemen. In this lesson, we're going to go ahead and do our arm connections. We're definitely going to be needing a stretchy arm for both of the limbs here. And we're also going to go ahead and probably end up doing a stretchy limb for the legs. Okay, so first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we set up all of our controls correctly first, and then towards the end of the rigging, we'll actually go ahead and make our stretchy limbs. So let's go ahead here and start doing our connections for the arm. So as you can see, we only have one control box here for our hand control, and typically that would be fine, but I actually want to go ahead and add another connection here and control curve for our hands. So let's just go ahead and open up our rig controller tool here, and we can just simply use a 4 direction here. So we'll come up, rotate this 90 degrees in the Z axis here. Okay, and we're going to come in here and try to place this properly. So I'm going to hit V on my keyboard here, and I'm going to snap it to this point on the mesh. Okay, where'd that go? It's right there. So I want to go ahead and snap that to this point on the mesh real quick, so it's right in the center here. And I'll go ahead here and scale this down just so that it's a little bit larger than what is the hand actual box control there. And I want to come over here and do this to the same for the right side. So come in here and snap it to the center there. Go ahead and freeze our transformations on that. Okay, and I'm not necessarily going to go ahead and rename that. You can if you want. So we'll change that one blue, change this one to red. Okay, now as you can see, all of our geometry and our joints have been parented correctly here. So I'm going to go ahead and parent this to the 4-way here. So now it's going to rotate whenever we want it to rotate. Do the same thing here for the right side. Parent all the geometry correctly to that 4-way. Okay, and let's go ahead here and make our connection for our IK handle. We'll simply just select the IK handle, parent it to the box control here. So now our arm's going to move whenever we select our box control. And I want to take our 4-way and I want to parent it to the second joint here in the joint chain. Okay, so now we're going to be able to move our hand with our box control there, as you can see. Okay, do the same thing here for the right side. Take the IK handle, parent it to the box, which is our arm control. Okay, take our 4-way and parent it to the second joint here. So it's all going to stay pretty much together whenever we move. Okay, and you can see that we all have our rotation controls for our fingers here in our channel box. So now we want to go ahead and connect those. Okay, so we'll come up here to Windows, General Editors, Connection Editor, and I want to reload this joint in our right here. Just looking for our rotate control here. Okay, which is right here. Select the box control, reload the left. We'll say that's going to be finger 1. Okay, so we'll take the finger 1X to the rotate X, finger 1Y, finger 1Z. Okay, do this as finger 2, so we'll reload this and connect this to the rotate here. Okay, finger 2X to rotate X, finger 2Y to the rotate Y, finger 2Z to the rotate Z. And we'll go ahead and reload that third one. just need to open up the rotate there, and just the same thing as just X to X, Y to Y, Z to Z. Okay, so now you can see that they have moved a little bit here, so we can go ahead and just place those as we want. Okay, and the 2Z, so we'll go ahead and get those in there. And we'll do the same thing here for the right side. Just reload the control, load in one of the joints, go ahead and connect the finger 1 control X to the rotate X, finger 1 Y to the rotate Y, finger 1 Z to the rotate Z. Do the same thing here for what is going to be the finger 2 control. Now you can typically do this through set driven key as well, but we don't necessarily need to go ahead and do that, simply because we're not really going to be making, you know, a lot of fist controls or things along those lines, so it's just going to be much easier for us to go ahead and just connect these through the connection window here. So just go ahead and connect the rest of these up here, and there we go. So we'll come in here to the channel box, and we'll go ahead and just go ahead and place these properly, pose these properly as we need. As you can see there, those look fine. Okay, so now that our arm connections have pretty much been done and made, I'm going to go ahead here and lock and hide the channel attributes on this, just making sure that we leave the rotate connections. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and lock those. So now you can't necessarily move those, but you can rotate them. Okay, so let's come in here and add some control for our door. And like I said, we'll go ahead and make our stretchy limbs, but I'm going to go ahead and do that pretty much near the end. This way all my parenting connections are going to be done before I go ahead and make those stretchy limbs. So let's go ahead and do our door connections here, and I'm just going to select my door, grab my inset tool, or hit the inset button on my keyboard, and I'm just going to move the pivot here, snapping it to, say, like that joint, just to make sure that this is actually going to open properly here. Okay, we'll come up here to our animation menu set, go to our set driven key, hit set, load that as the driven, and we're going to be doing that in the rotate Y direction. Okay, so we'll grab our body control, load that as the driver, select our door control, and just making sure that we're going to be doing this in the correct way. So we want to make sure that we're doing it in the rotate Y direction here. Okay, and we don't want that door to be sort of going in like that, so we'll go ahead and key it here, select our door control, drive this all the way out to 10. Okay, take our door surface here, just rotate it out as far as I think we're going to need, and that should be more than fine there. And we'll go ahead and key that, go ahead and close that window there. And now our door is going to open and close, but you can see right away where when we open and close our door, we don't necessarily have anything inside of there, and that's not good. We should really have something inside of there, especially with Bender from Futurama, because he tends to be, let's just say, an alcoholic. So he definitely needs alcohol in there. And the way we can go ahead and do that here is I've actually modeled some extra assets for Bender here. So we'll go ahead and bring in our inside beers. And if you can see them here at the bottom, go ahead and just make sure that I have the right one here selected. Those are our inside beers. And you can see that we also have a smooth controller on these as well, and the ability to go ahead and turn them on or off. So let's go in here and bring in our beer assets for Bender here. Now you'll notice that none of these are really sort of animatable, or like, let's just say if he was actually drinking a beer, which I was talking about in the last lesson, we would need a different rig for the beer, and I've done that already, and I'll go ahead and import that whenever we start importing some more assets for Bender's actual character here. So with these brought in, let's go ahead and just make sure that we have these placed properly here. Obviously this control is probably going to be a little bit hard to go ahead and select correctly whenever it comes to, say, whether you're doing animation or whatever. So we're going to go ahead here and actually add another attribute to the body main control here. Okay, so first thing I want to do here is just make sure that we rename what is this beer main group. Okay, so we're just going to call this inside beers GRP main. Okay, and then I'm going to take this, parent that to what would be this control. Okay, let me go ahead and actually step back a step here. Before I go ahead and do that, I want to make sure that I connect this control to that control. Okay, so we'll just come up here to our animate tab, our set driven keys, go ahead and set. We're going to load this, but we need to make sure that we actually add the attribute first here. Okay, so let's go ahead here and beer smooth controller. Okay, this will be low, or animation. This will be rendering, and we'll actually make a third one here for high close up. Okay, and we'll also do one for the inside beer viz control. So we'll go ahead and just make one for off, one for on, making sure that those are going to be added as well. Okay, so go ahead and select our body control, go ahead and load that as the driver, select the beer controller, load that as the driven. Okay, so we'll go ahead and connect up here our beer smooth controller to our smooth controller, go ahead and key that, select our body main, turn the high close up here, beer smoother control, go ahead and change that to close up, go ahead and key that. So now you're going to see where we have extra geometry connections here. Okay, so leaving that at animation level, we'll do our inside beer visibility. Go ahead and select our inside beer here, show the inside beer, and we will go ahead here and make sure that this is in the on position. Go ahead and key that, select our body main, turn our inside beer off, turn our geometry shape off, go ahead and key that, and I actually forgot to select that, so go ahead and select those two, just making sure that that's off, making sure that that's off, go ahead and key that, turn our beer viz control on, select our beers, go ahead and turn that on, and we'll go ahead and key that. So now we have the ability to go ahead here and smooth our beer, and we also have the ability to turn our inside beer off. Now I can go ahead here and just go ahead and close that window. Let's go ahead and turn our beer on, and making sure that I go ahead and select that beer inside main group, select our body control, and simply just parent that to that. So now you can see that that actually took it out of the outliner, and our outliner here is now fairly clean, and we're ready to go ahead and probably start doing our leg connections in the next lesson. So come on back and we will begin doing our leg connections.